Well, teaching these days are different than they used to be. Society's different, kids are different, people are different, and the demands on a teacher are a lot different than they used to be. And what we want to do is to try to help schools to help their teachers get to a place where they never allow a student to keep them from teaching and other students from learning. And teachers are leaving the profession in droves these days, and one of the major reasons for that is student discipline. And the second major reason is lack of support from administration in dealing with student discipline. And so I want to do some things to help. It is something that can be done. It can be learned, and there definitely can be a lot of improvement just with a few skills. It isn't really all that difficult. And as the old saying is, um, it is simple, but it may not be that easy. So let me try to simplify things. I want to tell you a story about my own experience because I was a failure as a teacher. I was not a good teacher. I thought I was going to be, I intended to be. I came to my first classroom excited about what I was going to be able to do to help these children to learn science. And that was the subject I was teaching, science and Spanish. And I felt like I was ready. And so I hadn't had a lot of training. I think that's the case in many teaching situations where the actual training to be ready is either inadequate or maybe doesn't exist at all. But so I started out in the classroom that idea that I was going to be a terrific teacher. Kids are just going to love me, and it's going to be a wonderful time. And just hey, come on in, Mr. Yoakum. I'm going to teach science. I'm going to teach everything I know about science, which is a lot. And so just come on in and have a seat where you want to, and we'll get started. And so that was kind of how I began. And um, I had high ideals about the way it's going to be. And I was altruistic. I wanted to be a giver. I wanted to give back to society and to do a good job with these children. So as they came in, and the first few days, of course, they were like most children are. They're curious about me and about what to expect, and we kind of introduced each other a little bit and talked about what they were going to learn in the subject area for this school year. And things are going really quite well. First day, everybody's excited. It is what they call that honeymoon period. And they didn't know me, I didn't know them. And as the days went on, I began to notice a little bit more of a buzz in the classroom where students would be talking or interacting with one another, not really with my permission, but I hadn't really set up the parameters for the class. And it got worse and worse. And I found myself um, getting angry with my students and telling them things like, hey, y'all need to just be quiet and pay attention. Stop interrupting my class. Uh, Stop working on math while we're in science class. Uh, Different things to try to get their attention into my lesson. I had prepared lessons, I thought they were good lessons. But that just got worse because I didn't really know how to deal with a student who was not listening, who was not involved in my lessons. And so eventually I found myself doing more things like, would y'all please be quiet so that I can get this done so you can learn what I've got in store for you today? I think you'll like it. And then I came to the point where I was actually really yelling at the kids and telling them things angrily to try to get them to stop whatever silliness they were doing, whatever distractions they were doing. And again, it wasn't everyone, but it only takes one or two or three to really upset the whole class and disrupt your teaching and to keep you from teaching and students from learning. And so I didn't do a very good job. And I actually came to a point uh, when about the seventh, eighth week of school, somewhere in there, where I decided this wasn't for me. I made a mistake. It wasn't. I wasn't enjoying it. It was becoming more and more of a burden. I was not looking forward to entering the classroom, and it was a disaster. And so I went to my principal and said, what do I have to do to get out? of my contract as a teacher. I had a contract with the school district, and he explained that it wouldn't be easy, and that it could mean that I would never teach again if I just walked away from it. I didn't want to do that, but so anyway, we went home, and my wife and I talked about it. We prayed about it. I came up with a plan, and I tell you, the plan was primarily one thing: I will be calm. I will be calm at all times. I was the adult in the classroom, and in some ways, I was actually more childish than the students were. And so I made a determination, and I went in and I spoke to my children and told them that it was going to be new, and that I was sorry for the way I'd acted. I was sorry for times that I had raised my voice when I shouldn't have. I'd actually told students sometimes to shut up. And I'm not proud of that, but that's what I did. And I could tell that they were curious about whether I meant it or not. I explained that I had some new classroom rules. I was trying to find ways that would work, and I came across a system that I thought I would at least try. It had to do with putting names on the board with checks. I think it was called assertive discipline. And so I told them about this new system, and I had classroom rules. I hadn't had those before. And I told them that these were my expectations for the way they were to behave, and that I was starting right now. If a student did not behave according to my expectations, there would be consequences. And I had some consequences laid out, which was, last to leave the room. I would contact home, show me 1 minute timeout. And I had 3 or 4 things up there that were written down on the board. There would be consequences for students who didn't behave properly. And right away, I had kind of a new group. I explained that I was tired of trying to teach students who didn't want to learn, and that I could tell there were many of them who did want to learn. And I needed to provide for those students who were there to learn. And I was not going to continue to allow students who didn't want to learn to keep those who wanted to learn from learning. And so it went better, and I don't think I had anyone really violate the rule that day, but the next day it was already different. And I immediately, when a student disrupted, violated one of my rules, I immediately gave them a consequence. And I was consistent with that. Matter of fact, one of the things that I was doing was, before I'd go in the classroom each day, before I got out of my car in the parking lot, I had a talk with myself, and I told myself, I will be calm today. I will not allow my emotions to be tested, and I will remain calm and in charge of myself at all times. And actually, just that one thing, when I was clear about what I wanted, and I was committed to what I wanted, and I was consistent to what I wanted, that suddenly my students saw me as the leader in the classroom, which is what I was supposed to be from the beginning. But I was allowing others to disrupt and basically take away the power in the classroom. And I wasn't good at managing that. So I have a few notes. I'm going to talk about a few things today. That's kind of my personal story, and I hope that is something that will be of interest to you. I do want you to know that towards the middle of the video, I'll be asking you to check out the information below, that I have a free gift for you. And I would like to encourage you, before you would leave today, to make sure that you claim your free gift that's attached to the bottom of this video. I think it will be something that will be useful for most all of you. So actually, what the problem is that I was losing instructional time because I was dealing with children all the time and being disruptive. And it got to a place where a large amount of my instructional time was wasted on students who were being disruptive, and I was not being the leader that I needed to be and attending to that well. And I also knew that from some things I'd heard, that administration was kind of overwhelmed with student discipline issues, and that very often they weren't of very much help at the school that I was at. And so I didn't want to rely upon them. And so I want you to remember that students need to be disciplined. They need to have discipline in their lives. Discipline is very important. Discipline does not mean punishment. A person being disciplined could end up being punished. And sometimes when you give a consequence, the student might feel that it's a little bit of punishment that may be unavoidable, but the object is not to punish a student with discipline. The object is to get them to reflect. The object is to get them to come to a place where they have self-control, where they have self-discipline. Because I offer to you the fact that no one can succeed in any area of life without discipline, without personal discipline. You can't become a great football coach if you're not disciplined. You can't become a great football player if you're not disciplined. You can't become a good banker or a lawyer or an engineer if you don't have self-control and self-discipline. You certainly couldn't rise to a place of being in charge of a lot of people if you're someone who's always angry and can't lead and isn't respected, doesn't know how to be respectful. So you have to be clear, you have to be consistent, you have to be committed, and you have to always make sure that you are consistent. Always, those things. Consistency is extremely important. I learned that I had to make sure that even a very good student who disrupted class would receive a consequence for being disruptive. And so the thing that I think is important is to remember that in today's world, it used to be that teachers were automatically respected just because they were the teacher. And it's not true anymore. There's a little bit of that, but by and large, students or anyone have to learn to respect you and or not to. And so the first few days of school when I was teaching, students were eyeing me to determine whether or not I was someone worthy of their respect or not. And I was found wanting. So I do offer to you that got to make sure that you are a person who um, becomes respected, and that happens when you take charge because you're supposed to be in charge. The students are coming into any classroom understand it's just by definition that the teacher is to be the one in charge. Now, they will challenge that, and if they're successful in it, they'll continue to challenge it, and others will be encouraged to challenge. The old saying is that about 80% of your students show up that they are complicit in wanting to uh, do what you ask them to do, and the other 20% are not. And so if you work at it, you can increase the 80% upwards. And if you don't work at it, you'll probably decrease the 80% downwards to have less students who are less and less compliant with your intentions, with what you want in the classroom. And so that respect is extremely important. You cannot learn from someone you don't respect. And if your students don't respect you, you can go through a 45, 50, 55-minute segment of time with the students not learning anything. And they can even get a grade from you. It might be a good grade, but they're not learning because they don't respect you. And so therefore, respect is something that you have to earn, and you can earn it quickly. And one of the best ways is to um, anticipate that there will be tests for your respect and for your power and your control. And you have to be ready to deliver and to make sure that they know that you are indeed the leader in the classroom. They are not. And that's a very important thing. So you make sure you set your rules and expectations because these are children. And while there may be a temptation to allow them to participate in it, I don't recommend that. I think it's much better if you are actually making all of the rules for your students. So take inventory of yourself and the way that you teach, and in your classroom, and make a determination as if you need to change. Do you find yourself yelling, begging, screaming, pleading? Do you find yourself trying to make sure that your students are somehow enticed into a reward for acting right and acting the way they should anyway? It doesn't work in the long run. Might bring you short time results, but not long term results. So be careful of those things, and just determined to come into your classroom each and every day being calm. And so I would invite you that when this video is over, which is getting close to that you would click on below and claim your free gift, and and then consider booking a call, and we can talk about your situation at your school and what I can do to come and help you, because that's what I do. Been doing this for 30 years, and I have a system for schools that works, and I also can help individual teachers if teachers are having difficulty with controlling their classrooms. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Be sure to get your free gift.